Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name's Amanda. If you're not new here, this might be a bit of a shift in the type of content that you're used to. If you saw my last video posted was my testimony, all about how I came to follow Jesus and a bit about my faith. And so I have decided to kind of take a bit of a turn in the content that I'm going to be sharing. Not completely, but a little bit. So it is still centered around minimalism and simple living, but I thought that because that type of journey, that type of lifestyle for me has led me to where I am with my faith, and I don't think I would be where I am if it wasn't for simplifying my life, I thought what better way than to integrate these things together. And so in this video, I want to dive into the topic of minimalism, but with that little bit of a twist. So we're going to explore how minimalism isn't really just this modern trend, this modern lifestyle trend, but it's actually in alignment with timeless biblical principles. And minimalism can actually be a very powerful tool that can help us to live more intentionally as followers of Christ. So my hope for this video is to show you how simplifying your life, how living with less can draw you closer to God, can increase your contentment, and ultimately free you from the distractions of focusing on what truly matters. So let's start with one of the key values that minimalism teaches, which is contentment. And I'm going to read to you from Philippians chapter 4, verses 11 to 13, where Paul writes, "Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me." I think Paul's message here is pretty profound. Whether he had a little or whether he had a lot, he was content because his satisfaction didn't depend on his circumstances or his possessions. I think minimalism is rooted in this very idea because our peace and our worth aren't tied to the things we own or the comforts that we might be enjoying right now in our lives. And I think just like Paul, we are called to live in a way that frees us from this constant need for more. When we learn true contentment, we can begin to focus on the things that are eternal, like our relationship with God and serving others and living out our true purpose. Next, let's talk about materialism. I'm going to read to you from Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 to 21. It says, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." I think Jesus makes it pretty clear here that our material possessions are not forever. They're fleeting. Everything that we accumulate here on earth, whether it's our clothing, our gadgets, even our money, essentially, will eventually fade away. And yet so many of us live as if our identity, our security depends on this stuff. The problem with materialism is that it distracts us from our true purpose, which is to seek first the kingdom of God, Matthew 6:33. And so what minimalism does is it helps us to kind of realign our priorities and put our focus onto the things that truly matter, which is, like I already mentioned, our relationship with God and serving others. Okay, finally, I want to look at the biblical principle of simplicity. And I'm going to read to you from two scriptures. The first is Proverbs chapter 15, verse 16, which says, "Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble with it." And I'm just going to read to you from 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 6 to 8, which say, and Paul writes here, "But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content." I think both of these verses highlight the peace and contentment that come with simplicity. When we focus on the essentials, like what we actually need to live and to serve God, it frees us from all that burden that comes with excessive wealth and anxiety and worry. And that's why I think that minimalism isn't all just about reducing the clutter, but it allows us to simplify our lives, and with that, we experience a greater peace. When you can stop striving for more, you begin to realize that what you have is already enough. Okay, so I want to give you 3 practical steps that you can take to apply these biblical principles of minimalism into your own life. The first one obviously should come as no surprise, but to declutter your space. Take a true, honest look around your home at what you don't need, what is distracting you physically, which ultimately distracts you mentally. Anything that doesn't serve a purpose, bring you joy, consider parting with it. Remember that Jesus calls us to first seek the kingdom, and so creating a space that is free of distraction can help us to focus on that. Because I know for me personally, if my space is cluttered, my mind is cluttered, and then I can't focus on what should be first, which is seeking the kingdom of God. The second thing you can do is to be more mindful of your spending. Like, really be honest with yourself. Are you buying things because you really need them? Or is this spending habit just a way to temporarily make you feel better? Take the time to create a budget. Sit down and think about how you're spending your money, and is it the best use of your money? Make it a priority to focus on just the necessities and then investing in things that serve God's kingdom, like investing in missions and helping the poor, or even investing in meaningful relationships. And that leads me to the third step, speaking of relationships, which is to prioritize relationships. Minimalism isn't just about our physical possessions, but it's about how we live our lives. Focus on building relationships with those who truly matter to you, spending quality time with your family, investing in your church community. Build deeper connections with those around you. It is these relationships, not material possessions, that will bring about lasting fulfillment. So all that to say, minimalism rooted in biblical principles is more than just about getting rid of stuff. It's about embracing contentment, rejecting materialism, and living simply so that we can focus on what truly matters. For the third time in this video, I will say that what truly matters is our relationship with God and serving others. So I encourage you to take some time to honestly reflect on this, like maybe even journal down these questions. So what possessions in your life or what distractions in your life are pulling you away from God's kingdom? And what steps can you take to live with more intentionality, with more peace and more purpose? As always, thanks for being here, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that it inspired you to simplify your life in a way that will honor God. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Share it with someone that you think could hear this message, could use this message. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe for more content coming all about how to live out your faith through minimalism, through simple living in more practical ways. God bless, and see you next time.